In this section, we'll look at the background and the causes of World War I. World War I, it should be noted at the outset, wasn't called World War I during the war. To call it that implies a Second World War or others. Most people assumed that this war was so bad there'd never be another war like it. It was called, therefore, quote, the war to end all wars, or more commonly simply the Great War or the War. The war was the world's first large industrial war and really surpassed anything the world had ever seen before. It wasn't like someone wouldn't know what conflict you were talking of if you simply said the war. World War I became World War I, of course, when World War II developed. In any event, ever since a series of revolutions around Europe in the middle of the 19th century, Europe had been relatively calm, and some optimists assumed that war was a thing of the past. There was, however, the basis for war brewing quietly. One, of course, was the Industrial Revolution. Given historic animosities, when a traditional competitor built greater weapons, your nation felt the need to do so as well. In short, there was an arms race growing from the new inventions of the Industrial Revolution. Moreover, the same European powers were the ones competing for colonies in Africa and Asia during the age of imperialism. Each was struggling or racing against the other for advantages in acquiring raw materials and markets. The European balance of power was further upset when Germany achieved national unity in 1871. Led by Kaiser or King Wilhelm II, many Germans felt that their nation lagged in the industrial and imperialist race. Very quickly, expansionism, modernization, and military power became the goal of Berlin. Germany's quick military expansion, of course, worried its neighbors. As the German nation united, another old power was weakening. The Ottoman Empire, centered in modern-day Turkey, had been around for centuries and had once dominated the entire eastern Mediterranean and Middle East. During the 1870s, however, it could no longer control the Balkan nations of Romania, Bulgaria, and Serbia, who all three declared their independence. Serbian patriots dreamed of expanding their new boundaries to include Serbs living in Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia's neighbor to the west. The Serbs were a Slavic people, a distinct ethnic group that also included the Russians. The Russians, accordingly, supported the Serbian objectives. In 1908, however, the Austrian-Hungarian Empire to the north took over Bosnia-Herzegovina, alarming both Russia and Serbia. Overlaying these developments were a series of alliances. In 1882, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy signed a mutual defense pact known as the Triple Alliance. In 1904 and 1907, Great Britain signed treaties with France and Russia, creating what became known as the Triple Entente. In June 1914, the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austrian-Hungarian throne, visited Sarajevo, the Bosnian capital. With Franz Ferdinand riding in an open car, a Bosnian Serb nationalist and university student recruited by Serbia, Gavrilo Princip, shot and killed him. Here you can see the authorities are initially corralling Princip after the shot, and you can see the Archduke's uniform there on the bottom right. Then, like falling dominoes, the system of European alliances kicked in, rapidly pushing all the powers into war. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia for the assassination and declared war on July 28, 1914. Russia, tied by secret treaty to Serbia, began mobilizing against Austria-Hungary. Russia shared a border with Austria-Hungary and would have loved to have seen the empire break up as a result of any fighting that might take place. Russia's mobilization prompted Germany, who had its alliance with Austria-Hungary, to declare war on Russia and its ally France. As preparation for attacking France, Germany launched a brutal invasion of the neutral country of Belgium on France's northern border. This attack ticked off Great Britain, who declared war on Germany. By the end of August 1914, most of Europe was at war. The British, French, and Russians, tied together by the Triple Entente, became commonly known as the Allies. Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire, which had long had border disputes with Russia, became known as the Central Powers. A number of smaller countries were also involved. Belgium, obviously on the Allies side, and Bulgaria, for one, on the Central Powers side. Italy, which had been an original member of the Triple Alliance with Germany and Austria, actually switched sides in 1915, becoming an ally of Britain, France, and Russia. It was clear that the war was going to be fought in two major zones: in Western Europe with France and Britain on one side, and in Eastern Europe with Russia on the other. The Central Powers, obviously named because of their position in Europe, were at a distinct disadvantage, facing both an Eastern and a Western front. Because most of the countries held colonial empires, the conflict also included fighting in the Middle East, Africa, and even China, throwing the future of these areas into question. In time, Japan even joined the Allied side. At the beginning of the war, no one expected a long, bloody conflict, and thousands cheered and rushed to join up. You can see in this picture mobs in Germany cheering the declaration of war, and the picture is reputed to show an unknown Adolf Hitler in the middle. This concludes the first section on the background and coming of World War I.